Welcome to the Manchester United Fan TV. From wherever part of the world you are watching from, I say welcome. It have just been announced that Carrick is now the Manchester United new interim coach for the year 2026. And I will bring you the direct quote of Carrick since being appointed. This is what Carrick had to say. Having the responsibility to lead Manchester United is an honor. I know what it takes to succeed here. Emphasizing his focus on helping the players reach expected standard, stating his belief in their talent and dedication. There is still a lot to fight for this season. We are ready to pull everyone together and give the fan the performances that their loyal support deserve. That is from Carrick. So what are you saying? Are you in support of this or are you worried? Well, for me, I'm 50-50 on this one. I wish him good luck. I hope he does well. And get some winning under his belt. That would be good. That would be great. Because the fans deserve it. Really deserve this. The club right now is, I can say, finished. I got nothing to say or add to this. It's a difficult period, my friend. So if you're a Manchester United fan, any part of the world, I say put yourself together. Embrace yourself for what to come. We got 2 tough games. Manchester City this weekend, followed by Arsenal. Then Fulham. Fulham is just around the corner waiting. What do we achieve from those games? I don't know. But I will give my support. I hope it be better. Carrick is the player I like. I wish him well. This is just a short summary, short brief about what has just happened and what is happening right now. Carrick is the new Manchester United interim head coach for 2026. So stay strong, give him your support, and let's hope for the best. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And be strong. And we wish for all better days. Bye for now, my friends.
They gave him a title, manager. Then they took away everything that word means. Ruben Amorim stood in front of cameras after a draw with Leeds and said something most people will ignore. He said he came to be the manager of Manchester United, not the coach. He said it clearly. He said it twice. Nobody heard him. They heard the words. They did not hear what sits beneath them. The difference between manager and coach is not semantic. It is structural. A coach works with the players given to him. A manager decides which players to give. A coach improves performance within constraints. A manager removes the constraints or leaves. Amorim is a coach with a manager's title. That makes him responsible for outcomes he cannot control. And United know this. They structured it deliberately. When a man has to explain that his title means authority, it means he has none. When a man has to remind a room that manager is different from coach, it means the club already decided he is only the latter. Titles without power are decorations. Amorim is wearing a decoration. And decorations do not build squads. They do not fix structural problems. They do not change cultures. They exist to make the org chart look complete while the actual decisions happen elsewhere. This is not unique to Amorim. This is the 3rd manager in 3 years operating under this model. Ten Hag had the same title. Ten Hag asked for different players than the ones he received. Ten Hag was sacked when those players did not produce the results the club demanded. The pattern is consistent. United hire managers. Then they treat them as coaches. Then they fire them for failing to achieve what managers achieve. The gap between expectation and authority is where careers die. Manchester United hired him on a deal until June 2027. 18 months. He mentioned that number himself. 18 months is not a project. It is an audition. It is a placeholder. It is what you give someone when you want them to prove themselves before you decide if they matter. Ferguson had decades. Amorim has 18 months and a scouting department he cannot control. The length of the contract tells you everything about commitment. When a club believes in a manager, they give him time to build. When they are uncertain, they give him time to prove he deserves time. United gave Amorim the latter, and proving you deserve authority while you do not have it is impossible. It is the institutional equivalent of asking someone to swim while you hold them underwater. If they surface, you congratulate yourself for hiring someone strong. If they drown, you say they were not good enough. The outcome is predetermined by the constraints. He asked for signings in January. The window is open. He has injuries. He has players away at tournaments. He has gaps in the squad that everyone can see. The answer was no, not we will try, not let's discuss, no conversations. That is the first signal. You are not the manager if they do not discuss. The gaps are not theoretical. Bruno Fernandes is out. Mason Mount is out. Kobbie Mainoo is out. Matthijs de Ligt is out. Harry Maguire is out. 3 players are at the Africa Cup of Nations. The squad is stretched to the point where tactical flexibility disappears. You play who is available, not who fits the system. And when results suffer, they will not say the squad was incomplete. They will say the coach could not get the best from what he had. That is how distributed accountability functions. The structure creates the problem. The coach inherits the consequences. The board evaluates the outcomes without acknowledging their role in producing them. January was the moment to address this. United refused. That refusal was not operational, it was philosophical. It was the board telling Amorim that his assessment of need does not outweigh their assessment of value, which means his judgment is not trusted, which means he is not the manager. Amorim responded the only way a man with self-respect can. He said the scouting department and the sporting director need to do their jobs. He said it publicly. He said it after a draw at Ellen Road in front of microphones that were recording every word. That is not diplomacy. That is a man who knows the clock is already running and has stopped pretending otherwise. When you have to tell other departments to do their jobs, it means one of 2 things. Either they are not doing them or they are doing them in a way that excludes you. Both options lead to the same place. You are not the manager. You are the man who takes responsibility for their decisions. And the beauty of the modern structure is that nobody can prove which option is true. The scouting department can say they are working. The sporting director can point to processes and meetings and data analysis. All of it can be true while simultaneously producing nothing Amorim can use. Activity is not the same as alignment. United can be busy and still be useless. The scouting department reports to Wilcox. Wilcox reports to the board. Amorim reports to all of them and none of them. He is inside the structure without being part of it. He can request, he can suggest, he can identify gaps. What he cannot do is decide. And decision is where management lives. Everything else is consultation. Jason Wilcox is the sporting director. He decides recruitment strategy. He shapes the structure. He has power. Amorim has a contract and a press conference where he must explain why the squad has holes in it. This is the equation United have built. Authority flows upward. Responsibility flows downward. The coach carries the blame. The structure makes the choices. The modern sporting director model was supposed to create efficiency. One person handles recruitment, contracts, and long-term planning. The manager focuses on coaching. Division of labor produces better outcomes. That works when the 2 roles align. When the sporting director recruits the players, the the manager needs, when both agree on style, system and targets, when communication is constant and trust is mutual. United have none of that. Amorim said he sometimes has another idea than Wilcox and the board. That is the polite version. The accurate version is they disagree on fundamentals and Amorim's input is noted but not decisive. Wilcox wanted certain players. Amorim wanted different ones. United bought the players Wilcox wanted or bought nobody at all. And now Amorim must coach them. And when they do not perform to the level required, Amorim will be evaluated on outcomes he did not control. That is not division of labor. That is division of responsibility without division of blame. Wilcox will remain when Amorim is gone. The next manager will walk into the same dynamic. He will inherit a squad built according to Wilcox's vision. He will be asked to produce results that require the squad to be something it is not. He will request changes. He will be told no, and the cycle will repeat. United are not hiring managers. They are hiring people to take public responsibility for the sporting director's decisions, and that fundamentally corrupts what management means. Amorim is not stupid. He knows this. He said he is not Tuchel, not Conte, not Mourinho. He said it as if he was making a confession, but it was not a confession. It was a blade. Those names carry weight. Those names demand control. Those names walk into clubs and reshape them, or they leave. Amorim does not have that weight yet. United know it. Wilcox knows it. The board knows it. That is why they gave him 18 months and no transfer conversations. They are testing whether he will accept the decoration. He will not quit. He said that too. He will do his job for 18 months and then everyone will move on. That sentence is important. Not we will build something. Not we will see where this goes. Everyone will move on. He is already planning the end. That is what happens when you realize the institution is not interested in your success. It is interested in your compliance. United do not need Amorim to win. They need him to absorb pressure while the structure remains intact. Ferguson built the structure around himself. He was the system. Recruitment answered to him. Contracts answered to him. The board trusted him because he delivered and because he made it impossible not to trust him. He did not ask for authority. He took it and proved it was correct. Amorim is being offered a version of management that does not include managing. He can coach the players. He can pick the team. He can stand in front of cameras and explain why the squad is incomplete. What he cannot do is fix it. That is not a role. It is a trap. The people who defend this structure will say it is modern. They will say football has evolved past the single authoritarian manager. They will say collaboration and expertise across departments produce better outcomes. They will use words like synergy and alignment. None of that applies here. Collaboration requires communication. Amorim said there are no conversations about transfers. Alignment requires shared vision. Amorim said he sometimes has another idea than Wilcox and the board. Synergy requires trust. Amorim is publicly telling the scouting department to do their jobs. This is not a modern structure. It is a fragmented one. And fragmentation always serves someone. The question is who? When accountability is split, nobody is responsible. When decisions require consensus, delays become inevitable. When the manager cannot act, the structure protects itself. That is the design. Wilcox survives manager turnover. The scouting department survives manager turnover. The board survives manager turnover. The person who does not survive is the one standing in front of cameras, explaining why the results are not good enough. United have had 5 permanent managers since Ferguson left. Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Ten Hag, now Amorim. The names change, the structure remains, the outcomes remain. That is not coincidence, that is evidence. When the same institution produces the same failure across different people, the problem is not the people, it is the institution. But institutions do not sack themselves. They sack the temporary faces and call it progress. United's board do not want another Ferguson. They want someone they can control, someone who will not demand too much, someone who will accept 18 months and no conversations and a title without meaning. Amorim is realizing He walked into a building where the doors only open from one side, and the people inside do not want him to find the lock. He mentioned Gary Neville. He mentioned Paul Scholes. He said if the club cannot handle criticism from former players, the club needs to change. That line will be dismissed as irritation. It is not. It is a recognition that United operate in a climate of external judgment that the internal structure cannot resolve. Neville and Scholes played under Ferguson. They know what authority looked like. They know what a manager with power could achieve. Now they watch a man with a manager's title and a coach's limitations, and they ask why nothing improves. Amorim knows the answer. The structure will not allow it. But he cannot say that directly. So he says the club needs to change if it cannot handle the noise. He is telling them the noise is a symptom. The structure is the cause. Nobody is listening. United drew with Leeds. A team fighting relegation held them to 1-1 at Elland Road. The squad is missing players, injuries, international tournaments, gaps that were predictable and preventable. January is open. The window is there. The opportunity is live. No conversations. That is not bad luck. That is policy. When a club refuses to act in January while the manager is publicly asking for help, it is sending a message. The message is, we do not believe in you enough to invest now. We will wait. We will see. We will evaluate. 18 months is evaluation. It is not commitment. And evaluation requires measuring outcomes against expectations. But United have created a situation where the expectations are impossible without tools Amorim does not have. He is expected to compete for top 4 with a squad designed for 6th. He is expected to play possession football with players suited to transition. He is expected to manage without the authority to manage. The evaluation is rigged. Leeds at Elland Road is a test any competent United side passes. They were 6th in the Championship last season. They have been promoted for 5 months. They are 7 points clear of relegation, which means they are hovering just above the drop. United should win that match even with injuries, even with absences, even with a depleted squad. They did not. Amorim can point to the gaps. He can point to the missing players. He can point to January and the silence. The board will point to the result. And the result is what gets measured, not the context that produced it. That is the trap. United have given him responsibility without resources and will judge him as if he had both. Amorim is being auditioned while carrying full responsibility for a squad he did not build and cannot fix. That is the structure's gift to him. Accountability without authority. And when it fails, they will say he was not good enough. That is how this works. The board will point to results. Wilcox will point to process. The scouting department will point to data. Nobody will point to the fact that they gave a man a title and then spent 18 months proving it meant nothing. Amorim will leave, someone else will come, the cycle will repeat. United will continue to be a club that talks about standards while operating a system designed to avoid them. Standards require clarity. Clarity requires power. Power requires trust. United structure is built to distribute all 3 so thinly that none of them exist in practice. That is not modern football. That is institutional cowardice. And the players know it. They see a manager asking for reinforcements and receiving silence. They see gaps in the squad that make their jobs harder. They see a structure that does not back the man responsible for their development. That knowledge changes behavior. When players know the manager is temporary, they play for themselves. When they know the structure will outlast the coach, they align with the structure. When they know 18 months is the clock, they wait it out. United's squad is not unified behind Amorim because the club has not unified behind him, and players are not stupid. They see the same patterns everyone else sees. 5 managers in 12 years, the same problems, the same structural inertia, the same cycle of hire, hope, replace. Why commit to someone the club has already decided is provisional? That creates a culture where nobody is accountable because nobody believes the authority figure has authority. Amorim can set standards, he can demand effort, he can coach tactics. What he cannot do is make the players believe those standards will be enforced beyond the next managerial change. And without belief, standards are just noise. This affects everything. How hard a player works in training, how they respond to criticism, whether they accept being dropped or argue, whether they buy into a new system or wait for the next manager to change it back. When Ferguson dropped a player, that player knew he was dropped and would stay dropped until he earned his way back. The authority was absolute. The consequences were real. The standards meant something because they were enforced consistently across seasons. When Amorim drops a player, that player knows the decision is temporary in two ways. Either Amorim changes his mind, or Amorim is replaced by someone who rates the player differently. Both outcomes are possible within 18 months.